The docking bay ceiling was not built for someone 10 feet tall, which was why Lyris ducked so low she practically folded in half each time she stepped through the humming entry gate. The gate always buzzed in protest, as if offended that someone of her dimensions dared use it. Her long ears, delicate, tapered, and annoyingly expressive, brushed the overhead lights, making the motion sensors flicker with confusion. It figured. Even the station's electronics thought she was too much. She kept her steps small, or as small as steps from someone with legs the length of a small shuttle could be. The humans working around the bay pretended not to notice her, which she appreciated. Or maybe they really didn't notice because they were busy chasing a runaway supply drone that had decided it no longer believed in gravity. One technician sprinted under it, jumped, missed, and landed in a heap. Lyris's ears twitched in sympathy, then flattened when she remembered she was supposed to blend in. Hard to blend in when one's shadow alone could be considered a safety hazard. Her assignment today was thankfully simple. Reinforce a plasma conduit line before the next cargo ship docked. Straightforward. Quiet. Zero chance of humiliating herself, or so she thought. The moment she reached the conduit, she realized the station engineers, clearly humans the size of teacups, had installed it at chest level for themselves. For her, it sat around mid-thigh. She knelt, trying not to look like an ancient tree collapsing in slow motion, and gripped the conduit carefully. A faint vibration hummed through it, warning her the system was already under more strain than it should be. "Great," she muttered. "If you explode, I explode, and then everyone will say they knew the giant alien woman was a walking disaster." The conduit crackled in what she decided was agreement. A sudden alarm blared overhead. The system lights flashed red. She tightened her hold, mouth pulling tight. Maybe the job wasn't simple. Footsteps clattered behind her. Human footsteps. Quick, hurried, slightly uneven, as if the person running had made peace with the possibility of falling but hoped today wasn't the day. She didn't dare look back. If she lost focus, the conduit might slip, and then the entire docking bay would turn into an accidental fireworks show. I'm here, don't panic," a voice shouted breathlessly. "Okay, you can panic a little, but keep it tasteful." Lyris risked a glance. A human man skidded into view, overshot his stop, scrambled, corrected, and nearly lost a boot in the process. His dark hair stuck up as if he'd recently lost an argument with a ventilation fan. He wore an engineering badge that hung crookedly, probably out of spite. He froze the moment he actually saw her. His eyes widened, not with fear, but with the startled awe of someone who just found out giraffes were real. Lyris braced herself, waiting for the usual reactions. Shock, discomfort, tiny squeak of terror. Instead he said, "Wow, you've got amazing upper body strength. Do you lift plasma conduits recreationally, or is this a special occasion kind of thing?" She stared. The conduit jerked dangerously. "I am trying not to let this explode," she managed. "Perfect. I also prefer my workplace non-exploded." He dropped to one knee beside her, more accurately beside her ankle, and pulled tools from his belt. "Just hold it steady. I'll patch the line before it tries anything dramatic." She tried, truly, but having a human that close made her instinctively recoil. Not because she feared him. Humans were small, strangely fragile creatures, but because of the sinking certainty that he, like everyone else, would eventually see her as monstrous. 10 feet tall, long ears, hands big enough to palm a helmet. She took up too much space physically and she feared visually. "You doing okay up there?" he asked, twisting a clamp into place. "Need a snack, hydration." Existential support. Despite herself, a sound halfway between a snort and a cough escaped her. "I am fine." "Great, me too. Except for the part where my left knee is definitely touching something that's humming in a way knees should not experience." "That is a stabilizer coil. Move your leg." "Ah, yes, good note." The station shuddered around them as the docking clamps engaged. Lyris braced, muscles tensing. The human held the stabilizer steady and tightened another bolt with the dramatic flair of someone pretending he wasn't actually worried. When the final alarm beeped green, the conduit relaxed in her hands. She let out a breath she'd been holding for far too long and slowly lowered it back into place. The human stood, wiped sweat from his forehead, and beamed up at her, way up. Teamwork, also, hi, I'm Jalen. She blinked. Lyris. Nice to meet you, Lyris. He hesitated, then added with complete sincerity, I hope this doesn't sound weird, but your ears are incredible. Do they pick up like cosmic radio stations? Her ears flushed violet. No. Tragic, still cool though. Lyris didn't know what to say. No human had ever spoken to her like this, with humor instead of fear, curiosity instead of caution. She wasn't sure what startled her more, that he didn't flinch from her, or that she suddenly wanted to stay instead of retreating to the shadows. Jalen gave her a lopsided smile, oblivious to the tectonic shift in her thoughts. Well, if you ever need help not blowing up another conduit, you know where to find me. Probably somewhere falling off a stool. He walked away, whistling cheerfully. She remained kneeling long after he left, touching the spot on her arm where his hand had accidentally brushed. For the first time in a long time, the docking bay didn't feel too small for her. It felt almost welcoming. Lyris told herself she wasn't looking for him. She was simply walking through the central transit ring because she needed to reach the materials lab, and if the route happened to pass by the engineering sector where a certain human worked, well, the station was built in inefficient circles, wasn't it? She walked very carefully, keeping her steps soft so she didn't rattle the light fixtures again. Last time that happened, 3 humans dove under tables thinking it was an earthquake. Her long ears flicked as the anti-gravity tram whooshed over her head. The designers had insisted the transit lanes were safely elevated, which was true for every species except her own. She had learned to duck instinctively whenever she heard the familiar hum. Today, the tram passed peacefully, no alarms, no falling passengers, until a voice drifted toward her from the walkway below. Lyris, hey, up here, well, down here to you. She paused. Jalen was leaning halfway out of an access panel, waving a tool that sparked with suspicious cheerfulness. He looked exactly like someone who had been electrocuted recently and had decided the experience was enlightening. You shouldn't be standing under that panel, she said. It is sparking. Oh, this, totally normal. If it sparks twice, then you worry. The panel sparked twice. Okay, slight concern. Come here a sec. She crouched beside him, carefully so she didn't collapse the surrounding floor like soft foil, and watched as he coaxed a coil back into place. He worked with easy confidence despite the fact that half his tools were scattered like someone had shaken him upside down. I didn't expect to see you today, he said casually, which was the exact tone of someone absolutely expecting it. Not that I was hoping, or I was, but in a professional way, mostly. She blinked at him. Humans were confusing. I was heading to the materials lab, she said. This route was efficient. Right, totally reasonable, not a coincidence at all. He winced as a small plasma spark landed on his sleeve. Ow. The station hates me. It does not hate you, she said, though she privately suspected the station had formed some kind of vendetta against him. He tightened the last bolt, hopped down and dusted his hands. There. Panel is 90%, less likely to explode now. What about the other 10%? We do not speak of the 10%. They walked together through the transit ring, Jalen taking 2 steps for every one of hers. He chatted about minor station mysteries, the disappearing inventory boxes, the food replicator that kept producing soup even when no one ordered soup, and the alien pet someone smuggled aboard that had eaten an entire drawer of socks before anyone noticed. They still haven't caught it, he said solemnly. We are in a state of sock-based emergency. Her ears twitched with amusement. You find humor in everything. Someone has to. Otherwise, we just stand around panicking all day, and I'm already doing that in my head. They reached the glowing arc of the materials lab entrance when a sudden tremor shook the floor. The lights flickered. A klaxon blared overhead. Gravity field instability, please remain calm. Jalen groaned. See, the station hates me. Before she could reply, the hallway lurched sideways. Lyris planted her feet, steady as a rooted tree. Jalen, meanwhile, floated 3 feet into the air, rotating slowly like an extremely confused satellite. This is not my favorite sensation, he shouted. She reached up easily and caught him by the back of his jacket, pulling him down before the gravity field snapped back and slammed him into the floor. He landed on his feet with the proud wobble of someone pretending he meant to do that. "Thank you," he said, breathless. "Good to know you double as emergency anti-drift equipment." "It is not a common Lyran trait," she said dryly. The gravity anomaly subsided, but a low rumble echoed through the corridor. A spherical maintenance drone rolled into view, one of the small ones, about the size of a human's torso, normally harmless. Except this one was glowing blue and making a sound like a caffeinated bird. "Oh no," Jalen said. "It's overloaded. We need to shut it down before it shocks someone." He lunged for it. The drone zipped past him. Lyris reached out casually and caught it with one hand. It wriggled like an angry metal fruit, but she held it firmly while Jalen opened an access panel and unplugged a thrumming crystal core. The drone immediately powered down, letting out a pitiful beep. "You're incredible," Jalen said without thinking. Her ears froze, her breath hitched. She looked away quickly. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing. He pushed the drone aside gently. "I mean, you're strong, sure, but that's not what I meant. You stay calm in chaos. You make everyone around you feel safer, even when you think you're too much." She stiffened. "You do not know what I think." "No," he said softly, "but I'd like to." Something in her chest moved, uncomfortably, unexpectedly, warmly. Before she could reply, her comm band buzzed with an urgent alert. Lyran biological resonance detected in Sector 6. Request immediate presence. Her throat tightened. That resonance only occurred when something was very wrong. Jalen saw her expression and straightened. "Want company?" She hesitated, but only for a moment. "Yes," she said, "I would." Together, they ran toward Sector 6, the station humming with secrets that neither of them yet understood. The resonance beacon pulsed through the station like a heartbeat, steady and low, guiding Lyris and Jalen into Sector 6. The lights flickered in rhythm with it, as if the station itself were listening. Lyris felt the vibration deep in her bones, a Lyran biological signature, unmistakable and far too strong to be natural. She had always felt disconnected from her species, but this felt like being pulled into an embrace she never asked for. When the doors slid open, the source revealed itself. A crystalline containment field filled with swirling violet energy. A holographic display identified it as Lyran Ancestral Echo, unstable. Jalen let out a long breath. "So, is this the part where we run? Because I can run." "Badly, but with enthusiasm." "It is not dangerous to you," Lyra said. "Only to me." He stepped in front of her. "Then I'm definitely staying." Before she could protest, the resonance surged, forming a shape, a towering silhouette that resembled the Lyran elders she had seen only in archives. Its voice was deep and layered, overlapping like a choir speaking at once. "Child of our bloodline, why do you hide your form? Why do you shrink your spirit?" Lyris stiffened. "I do not hide." Jalen snorted softly. "You absolutely hide." She shot him a glare, but her ears betrayed her with an involuntary twitch. The apparition continued. "Your fear has weakened your resonance. The humans do not revere you. They do not understand you. Why do you remain among them?" Jalen opened his mouth, probably to defend humans in a way that would make everything worse, but Lyris raised a hand to silence him. "I remain," she said slowly, "because here I see things differently. I am different, and that is not a weakness." The elder's echo pulsed. "Explain." Her throat tightened. How could she explain the years spent hunching herself smaller, the weight of every stare, the belief that her size and shape made her something others merely tolerated? How could she explain that Jalen, of all people, had been the first to look at her without fear, or worse, pity? She glanced at him. He smiled back awkwardly, as if unsure whether to wave at the ancestral hologram. She took a breath. "I thought I was monstrous, too large, too strange. But humans can be very small and still have very large hearts." Jalen mouthed "That's me" behind her. "And one of them showed me that what I consider flaws are not flaws at all." The echo flickered, its edges softening. "Your resonance stabilizes. Acceptance strengthens the self." A tremor ran through the containment field. Sparks jumped. Jalen yelped and slapped at the console. "Okay," So the ancient space ghost is emotionally supportive, but the machinery is about to blow. Lyris felt the energy building. It must be grounded. The resonance needs a living anchor. Cool, cool, and who's the anchor? Please don't say you. It must be me. Jalen swallowed hard but nodded. Then I'm helping. She reached into the vibrating field. Energy wrapped around her arm, warm and heavy. Memories not her own flooded her, towering Lyran cities, elders bending starlight into crystal, generations standing tall without shame. Her knees nearly buckled. Jalen caught her elbow, an absurd gesture, given his size, but she leaned into it anyway. I'm here, he said, even if my elbow is mostly decorative. With a steadying breath, Lyris embraced the resonance fully. It rushed through her like a storm, and for the first time in her life she did not shrink from her own magnitude. She stood tall, truly tall, letting the containment field dissolve into pure light around her. When the final pulse faded, the holographic echo bowed its head. You are whole. Remember this. Then it vanished. Silence settled over the chamber, broken only by Jalen's faint wheeze. Okay, so, are we going to tell the station commander that you just absorbed an ancient alien soul battery, or should that go in the never mention again folder? Lyris laughed, an unguarded, bright sound that startled even her. We will tell them something simple. Like what? That the situation is resolved, and no one exploded. Perfect, he said, relieved. That's my favorite kind of report. They walked back through the station, her steps lighter, her posture no longer slouched. People stared, but Lyris didn't shrink. She let herself take up space. She let her ears lift freely. For once, she felt neither monstrous nor misplaced. Jalen nudged her. You look different. I feel different. Good, he said softly. You should. As they reached the transit ring, he hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. So, now that you're, glowing with ancient space confidence, do you still want me around? I mean, I'm small, and I break things, a lot of things. She looked down at him. This tiny human who faced danger with jokes, who saw beauty where she saw flaws, who stayed even when everything in her warned him away. Yes, she said simply. I want you with me. His grin was immediate and embarrassingly bright. Great, fantastic, just checking. Also, if you ever need help grounding more cosmic energies, I charge reasonable rates. You will help for free. Yes, that too. They continued down the corridor together, side by side despite the difference in their height. Two worlds walking in rhythm, no longer afraid of the space they shared.